Awesome. So, really interesting debate. I've been following a little bit of this sort of internal left liberalism debate. Wick himself says this is the last defense of liberalism. The strange thing is we have two sides defending liberalism. I don't know, question mark, but as we go on through this debate, we will see that it is only one side defending liberalism. Most of this, really, the only important stuff is between Destiny and Hutch. Nobody else says really anything interesting.
All right, first of all, thanks for having me on, and let's just jump into this. So tonight I will be making the case that Trump and MAGA pose an acute threat to our very system and that this urgency requires actions that go well beyond the status quo. My debate opponents are very much on the same page about this basic description of the current moment and the necessity for big solutions, but will articulate a set of remedies that I have not agreed with in many cases.
Ooh, okay. Destiny and Josiah are fundamentally perceiving two different things. And it becomes much, much more clear as this goes on.
We've had this acceptance now that we can tariff the entire world. We've permanently ruined relationships with other countries. We've gotten rid of USAID. We've gotten rid of the Department of Education. These are long-term political gains that Republicans will enjoy for many years to come. And I just don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't continue to act that way. Now, my final question would be, for people that advocate for a gentler approach on the other side, I guess my big question would be, what did Biden do wrong? Because I feel like everything you would have ever wanted is essentially what Biden did. And then the response to Biden was just electing Trump in an even more unhinged manner a second time. So I don't understand why we would play that playbook again. I feel like it just leads to the...
Interesting. So the assumption there is that what the Republicans are doing or Trump is doing is inherently damaging. Fine. This is a bunch of liberals and lefties. The other assumption is that Biden played soft and that he was trying to enact things within the system, and that since Biden failed, let's ignore the fact that, he was, let's ignore the fact that he was basically mentally incapacitated most of the time. That what he did was within the system, it was appropriate, it was correct, but remember, sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes things over time change in the way we think about them or remember them or feel about them. So, Biden in the moment, great, beautiful, awesome. Biden 5 years later, he's such a slow piece of shit who didn't do anything.
say bad stuff.
Okay, and with that, let's open up the floor. I guess that's a good place to start as any. To Hutch and to Mitty, to deal with Destiny's question there. What would your answer be?
We don't need to listen to this. They basically go through here and say, well, what determines that something has power? What has validity? And that's a whole philosophical conversation we go through here.
Specifically about Merrick Garland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this was the question that I spent a lot of time thinking about, because Destiny proposed it a couple of times. Would it be like a fair summary of what you said, that like Trump kind of found an exploit in the system, and that exploit makes it easier to do Republican progress and harder to do Democratic progress, and as long as they can just keep doing that exploit, et cetera, it just kind of like makes going through the normal way not viable.
Well, I think his question was specifically about Merrick Garland, right?
Yeah. Well,
Biden said that.
But I feel like the exploit there's always going to be an exploit. Like that's always going to be the case. That was my second point. So bad faith actors cannot be completely regulated against. There will always be some exploit or some abusable thing.
Okay. Yes. What are you supposed to say to that? Because no system can completely regulate bad faith actors, we must go to the most extreme possible measures without completely destroying the system, because I don't think these people want to destroy the system. They're not in that camp yet, at least. But like that's like, yes, but the whole point is that the system restricts bad faith actors, right? If somebody is doing everything they possibly can to grab power, to pull power, to have all this stuff, and there's all these people in the way that have to go along with it, and it's like, yeah, maybe they do bulldoze down 90% of these people. Maybe they do run over them, right? Maybe the only person left standing at the end is Mike Pence. That is the point. That's the point of having 20 different people, having the Senate vote and approve and sign, and that's the whole point of that. Having every single state legislature vote and approve, the governor sign, approve, send. Right? Oh, it's like, would you say because somebody can attempt to do January 6th that we should just say fuck it? Right? The whole point is that it's supposed to prevent somebody from doing these things. It makes it significantly harder. If you destroy these norms, right? Let's say we get rid of filibustering and other norms and just say, don't even need states to approve ballots. We just go based off of majoritarian vote. Whatever the vote count is, done. President right there on the spot. How much more easier is it now to actually do January 6th? You know, maybe the fence in the middle of the forest is rotted, dilapidated. It's got termites eating the hell out of it, but some guy running with a bag of gold ends up tripping on it.
The main character goes to secure the realm, and the evil queen is presented with a letter from the king who just died, and it's basically checkmate. There's no way to rules, and they don't even have to do faith interpretation. There's no immunity
That's how young Mitty is. He doesn't know what Game of Thrones is.
clause in the Constitution. There's nothing from an originalist prism which would justify presidential immunity, but because the Supreme Court has a 6-3, the immunity decision to me is like the ultimate demonstration of bad faith interpretation. There's no immunity clause in the Constitution. There's nothing from an originalist prism which would justify presidential immunity. But because the Supreme Court has a 6-3 conservative supermajority, there's no accountability for them. There's no higher court of review.
There's no accountability. Oh my God. The whole point of the president appointing judges is the accountability level. Yes, you can end up in situations with 6-3 majorities. Right? The only reason you care about the accountability aspect of it is because you're the one losing perceptively.
Say what the Constitution says, even if it violates the plain text. And now Trump has, if not a get out of jail free card, then certainly like a coupon he can redeem, which works to his advantage.
For a lot of people who are supposedly pro-democracy, they really don't like democracy. If something happens democratically, like Trump winning even after abusing aspects of the system, like, I don't know. This is why thinking democracy is some universal good or inherently good is a very strange thing. You just end up in this circle where you believe it, and then anytime you actually run up in the real world, you're forced to somehow simultaneously defend it while also not defending it. Saying, oh yeah, all the tools and the measures can still be abused. It's like, yes, that's the point. It's the difference is that the abuser in a democracy is significantly reduced, spread out. You spread out the animus of elite aspirants of society so that maybe they're not just single-handedly fixated on one single person trying to entrap them or kill them or overthrow them. There's like 7,000 different ways in which all of these elite people can become somewhat elite.
The thing that we're trying to focus in on here right now is like, are there currently checks against Donald Trump that are meaningful?
Oh yes, beautiful. Thank you, Hutch. Bring it back to the topic of conversation.
And there are. I mean, Destiny, you can dismiss the Supreme Court decision and what Trump decided to do afterwards in a different kind of pursuit of a similar but much more constrained policy. But they did tell him you are not allowed to do like unending tariffs. Like they put a cap on the amount that he can tariff people, and there was a time limit baked in where now he has to go to Congress if he wants to get those extended.
Yeah,
so
he did. There was a time limit. There was a time limit baked in on the last ones. You realize that, right? And then Congress.
Okay, so we're entering. We've moved past the question, right? So the question established is: are more extreme responses from the left Democratic side warranted in order to, I don't know, defend against Donald Trump? I don't know. There really isn't an underlying premise here. Defending against evil. Okay. Or does maintaining a generic faith in the system Is that good enough? But now we've entered the next section, which is, has that actually happened? Has the checks and balances on the system worked? But every time, right, this is just going to be some silly back and forth of Destiny saying, oh, well, he still managed to do this, or he gets the gains, right? But the perception is that he did gain something. The Republicans did gain something out of it, that they aren't damaging, they're winning. It's like, yeah, they're winning if you're evaluating it through whether or not they have power. They're not winning whether or not there is some long-term buildable solution. We'll get into it. We'll see it. Watch.
One day in a year,
Just
it
bear
counts
with
as an
me
entire
here.
year. There was a time limit on the last tariffs he did, and they got around it. You said he put a cap on it, but he didn't. He's already collected the money. The equivalent, here's the
it's
equivalent.
moving forward.
Okay, there we go. We hit the example already. We already collected the money. Is that winning? That's government money. That's not winning. The Republicans don't uniquely benefit from that. And Biden had the opportunity to revoke tariffs, but he didn't. They passed the CHIP Act. It's like one of the biggest pieces of legislation from Biden.
Forward, Destiny. It's moving forward. They did constrain him. They constrained his tariff policy.
If I would have told you a year and a half ago the U.S. president was going to put a 5% tariff on every country on the planet, everybody would say that's insane. And you're saying that
That's
they
Oh, yeah, more mind reading. Mind reading, my favorite. Mind reading. Let's mind read, everybody. Mind read, mind read, mind read.
to constrain the president now to 15% tariffs to every country on the planet.
But he has that's legal. That is his legal authority to do that.
I don't.
That's not
agree with that.
lawlessness.
I don't know where that comes from. That he's able to do that unilaterally with no oversight from Congress.
Listen, he's appealing to a law. The law has review processes.
But he did
So
respectfully. He did the same thing with the tariffs that were struck down.
Yes, and he can't do that anymore.
After
Sure,
the
but my question is
Biden was the one to have done the
So we get in the weeds here. Let's skip a little bit forward.
On a number of occasions. It's not even just the tariffs. Like he tried to get rid of like birthright citizenshiip, and the courts have like struck him down. They were arguing in court just yesterday.
Is that still going through?
Well, I don't know if the problem.
Oh my god, this is so silly.
This is still ongoing, but
on it, but it's still waiting for you.
well, yesterday it looks like
So there we go. So it's there are examples, right? Like, yeah, some pretty big things that liberals care about. They want for some reason the liberals are now neoliberals. They're global neoliberals. Everybody needs to be capitalists, and they care about birthright citizenship. So I mean, there's two pretty big issues, right? Immigration and neoliberal economics.
Hold on. The court was it yesterday or the day before seemed very poised to strike down his effort to get rid of mail-in voting, for example. And the courts are not the only check that's on this president. You can argue that the courts are tilted in his favor. Obviously they are. And so, you might have, I could grant you everything that you're about to say, but they have like told him no on a number of occasions. And so far he has not just like blatantly ignored a Supreme Court ruling. But even the Congress right now, he's been pushing the Congress to pass the SAVE Act without a filibuster for like a number of weeks now. And they continuously are saying no.
What is the rebuttal?
Hold on, real quick. Josiah agrees with this too. Nobody is saying that Trump has been able to act completely lawlessly, completely independent of all the courts ever. All of us agree that the courts have restricted him to some extent.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody's saying that like he's completely defied all the courts ever, but he has made huge gains lawlessly, and the courts kind of sort of check him. But it's after a long period of time where he's already
huge gains lawlessly. What are the gains? What are the gains? This is politics. What are the political gains? What are the political gains? This is like ego points. This is like base points. Most of this is just like red meat garbage. The average like independent voters not too interested in this. The liberals are all gonna hate him. Like, what is polling? Polling on Donald Trump. Look at this. Look at this. Today, net approval rating of -16, record low. All this garbage. -21 on the economy. -32 on inflation. Jesus. That's getting killed. Look at Real Clear Politics. Disapproval. Quite high, and it's only gone up. The last time.
On paper is easy. I think it was
easier than unforgiving student loans.
Okay. But the whole point, polling down, obviously, this is a much more like philosophical debate about ideological approaches, much less a like practical, tangible debate about maneuverability and decision making. Well, let's just start here. I don't know what this is.
I don't know why
Let's
that
just
would
go
be.
here. It was
But
a
even,
bad
but even if we
decision. It was
even if we
paused.
grant you that, even if we grant you that the court is tilted in Republicans' favor, I don't know who would deny that. But even if we granted that, I think the thing that we're trying to focus in on here right now is like, are there currently checks against Donald Trump that are meaningful? And there are. I mean, Destiny, you can dismiss.
This is the stupid thing. This is really the stupid thing about this, bringing up the court example, because the same Supreme Court that we're arguing about, that we're complaining about, that we're throwing a fit over, that's saying is giving Trump unlimited powers, is the same Supreme Court that said separate but equal was fair, legal, and valid. And it's the exact same Supreme Court that said separate but equal was unfair, immoral, all these other things. So it's like there is a changing winds. You can just have a couple of Democratic wins and get these Supreme Court justices in. I mean, Clarence Thomas, quite old. If Democratic president is next, that's probably a Democratic seat. Then you're back to kind of like a 4-4 with like maybe a split vote, a couple split votes in there.
The Supreme Court decision and what Trump decided to do afterwards
So
in a different
stupid.
kind of pursuit of a similar but
So
much more
stupid.
constrained policy. But they did tell him.
I really dislike the Supreme Court example because it just doesn't apply. There's so many historical events in U.S. history that the Supreme Court goes either way. It can go both ways. And sometimes the Supreme Court goes against what you'd expect.
I would
You are not allowed.
disagree
You
with
are
that.
not allowed to do like unending tariffs. Like they put a cap on the amount that he can tariff people, and there was a time limit baked in where now he has to go to Congress if he wants to get those extended.
Yeah,
So
guess
he
what else?
did.
There was a time limit.
Blah,
There was a time limit
blah.
baked in on the last ones. You realize that, right? And then Congress voted themselves out of the time limit by saying 1 day in a year it counts as an entire year. There was a time limit on the last tariffs he did, and they got around it. You said he put a cap on
Well,
it, but he didn't. He's already collected the money. The equivalent
Okay.
is
No,
the
it's
equivalent.
literally-
Oh my God! Again with the collecting the money. The collecting the money is not the political win. The political win is the reimagining of tariffs. So we need to get over that. I need to get over that. But is there political winning? I don't think so. Most people don't like tariffs. Most people think he's absurd with the tariffs. I mean, if tariff polling is like 80% are in favor of these tariffs, polling suggests the president's tariffs are broadly unpopular with the American public. Oh, no. Forbes. Do research. There we go. Somebody who actually does polling. 6 in 10 Americans disapprove of the Trump administration's increased tariffs. Somewhat approve. Strongly approve. Strongly disapprove. Somewhat disapprove. Well, it looks like it's just a political issue. Sorry, I gotta remember. It's like percentage who of the Trump administration substantially increasing tariffs on goods imported from the most countries that trade with the U.S. Literally I would be here, right? I would be here. Lean Republican. I would be here. 28% say they disapprove. So it's basically a political issue, probably because, I mean, quite a ways. We're maybe about a year into the tariffs. I mean, everybody's screwed on inflation anyway, so it's like 9 in 10 Democrats. Where are the independents? Show me the independent polling. Lean Republican. I want independents separated. The Morning Consult. Okay, yes, everybody's aware of tariffs. Oh, Fox News. Here we go. President Trump's job performance. Where's tariffs? Oh, this is a Fox News poll. Oh, jeez. Yeah. That's expected. This is April of last year. This is in the heat of half of Republicans. Oh my God. In the middle of Freedom Day, Trump's handling of tariffs. Oh my God. In general, I don't know if he's gotten the political gains from all this illegal maneuvering. I don't think he has. He hasn't really hit that God level status.
They
keep
did
accidentally
constrain him.
playing.
They constrained his
Okay,
tariff
back at
his,
it.
his tariff policy.
If I would have
Back
told you
at
a
it.
year and a half ago the U.S. president was going to put a 5% tariff on every country on the planet, everybody would say that's insane. And you're saying that they
Oh,
Go ahead, Hutch, and then Josiah.
Why
Okay.
is the Supreme Court being institutionally biased towards conservatives in the Republican Party right now? Like, which I'm sure everybody agrees with. Why is that automatically a justification that we should further erode the system, that we should replicate the tactics
I'm not saying,
of Trump?
I'm not necessarily
Oh,
saying that.
beautiful
I don't know what
question.
we're talking about for replicating or what the solutions would be. I'm just saying that
Beautiful.
this is a weird
Beautiful.
notion. There's no other part on the planet, or there's no other form of civil law, or criminal law, where we would say accountability is you got to do a bad thing for a year, and then they told you to stop doing the bad thing, but you get to collect all the pros of the bad thing that you did for the past year. Like Donald
Okay,
Trump,
I will say this. I will say this.
all the pros.
Oh my God, so bad. So bad. There's no system on earth that says the accountability portion allows you to collect and reap the benefits for the next year and then be held accountable. Like, okay, well, first off, most of the places don't really have accountability systems like we do in the West. So it's kind of a moot point to bring it up. I mean, there are plenty of countries on earth where if you cheat and you get away with it, or if you're in power, it's perfectly viable for you to get away with things or to do things. The system is there for your benefit, not for the benefit of people. Right? And just because a system fails to hold somebody accountable does not mean the system is utterly useless or somehow has become degraded or unintentional. I mean, arguably, just the fact that the system is trying to hold somebody accountable, is it working in some semblance? That is evidence of it working in some way, right?
Pros of the past year of tariffs and everything else that resulted from that. Now they put a stop to that particular way that he did it. Now he hopped over to another law that you say has review.
Blah,
we'll see
blah,
if the
blah,
Republicans in
blah.
Congress actually, work through that.
And his family-
All the gains, Trump has tariffed himself to being a billionaire, I guess. That the U.S. government doesn't collect tariffs, Trump does.
But this idea that we can just infinitely hop between laws and there's always going to be something that allows the president to do whatever, like the word precedent exists for a reason. Like we do close these things with precedent. And with that being said, I am in favor of putting more liberals on the Supreme Court. I'm not necessarily in favor of packing courts, but I am in favor of putting more liberals on the Supreme Court that would stay the tariff order.
How would we do that?
Oh my God, no. How would we do that? Called winning the presidency. I don't know. How did Trump get 6-3 on the Supreme Court? Gosh, Josiah.
Well,
How would we do that without packing courts? I'm
But
sorry.
before we move
Well,
on,
I just mean like win elections.
Okay, hold on. We got a lot of places to go, and I think Hutch asked a
Alright,
question earlier
so
that I'm
what else to
really
say?
curious about, and I know.
Yeah, we shouldn't just breeze past that. I mean, like, how can you justify jumping straight from, you're laying out a very real problem. Like, I don't think anybody on this panel disagrees with the structural imbalance, the institutional bias towards the Republican Party right now. But that's not enough for me to say we should, copy what Trump is doing or emulate his sort of,
good
I would just say,
question.
like, open
Good
corruption,
question.
open weaponization.
Hit 'em
Why
with
are
it.
you jumping straight to that? Like, what is the
Real quick,
justification for that?
We have to, because if we don't agree on this point, then everything else fails. Do you
Okay.
think? I can't speak for Josiah, but like, do you think that if a president comes in and they abuse an exploit for 1 year, they get checked on it, and then so the second year they find another exploit to abuse, they
we're
get checked
back
on
to
it.
this.
Third year they exploit another thing, and then fourth year they exploit another thing, and by the end of
Back
those
to
4
this.
years, they got to exploit a different thing every single year. But
Yeah, okay. First thing, Hutch fails to address this. But this is, in order for this to be a valid question, you have to actually agree with what the hypothetical is, or what his premise is. You have to assume that what Trump is doing is getting him gains, is somehow benefiting him. The only way Trump's really benefiting in any way possible is actually his personal enrichment and the enrichment of his family members. In terms of, I don't know, establishing a legacy, he's not really done that so far. He's kind of coming off as more the criminal president. There isn't that like big ticket item that really hits, even on like his number one issue, immigration and the law. It just doesn't feel like it sticks. Right? Like there's something that needs to just go over the hill, just over the hump, and be able to see the horizon and to just have that shining thing. And it just doesn't have it. The wall isn't even associated with him. I haven't even heard anybody say the wall in the entirety of the last 5 years. because it was just like a talking point. You know, like if Trump is benefiting from this, I don't see it. I don't think it's happening. And if he's benefiting from it politically, I'd be shocked. Like I think he's just setting up the Republicans to lose hard in the midterms. That's all he's doing. He's screwing over everything for the Republicans. They're actively kind of civil warring with each other, secretly and silent, waiting for Grandpa to die to see who gets the guitar, who gets the car, who gets the house, who gets his, I don't know, bearer bonds, gold bullions. This is what the Republicans are all sitting around waiting for. They're like actively either watching in horror as Trump completely screws over everything that they want. Like if you're in the Marco Rubio camp, you're like, oh my God, these like sort of birthright nativist isolationists are like going to kill America. And then if you're in the JD Vance camp, you're like, oh my God, the war hawks are sending us to another war. They're actively supporting the global plutocracy. I don't fucking know. Whatever it is they think. But they're all sitting around, right? Just waiting. So,
but it got checked on and patched, and then the next president comes in. Was that a successful functionality of the system?
Yes. 1 million billion bazillion %. 1 billion %. Yes.
The last president was like bad faith.
I would argue that's a weakened system.
Is that the system working as intended? Do you think that's a good?
Oh, he can't. Is it a weakened system? If somebody does something, like let's say, but maybe FDR is a better example because it's more prevalent. FDR breaks the precedent, gets elected 2 more times, and we patch it, as they say. That's the system working, right? That's the system working. A president, the entirety of patching is the system working. Okay, for the entirety of like the lead up to the Civil War, you had candidates who continued to basically appease the slaveholders in the South in order to kind of win a national coalition, right? And what do? We patch it. We just say all black people can vote. You get a nice little time, right? At least for like 10, 15 years. Yeah, yes. A weakened system? No. Is the Supreme Court? Is Trump avoiding the Supreme Court weakening the system? I think it is damaging people's faith. It is actively attacking people's faith. It's sort of, but I mean, everybody kind of just has like an overall psychosis right now. Is it damaging the system? Is it weakening the system? I think it depends. Because I mean, like, the tariff stuff is pretty low resolution. It's pretty impactful in the modern world, but it's pretty low resolution, all things considered, right? Because the high end is January 6th. January 6th is again. It's like, okay, yeah, well, maybe Sila's coming sooner than we think. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think the system is working, but I think what I think it is that the jury is out on whether or not the courts, because we're still in the political moment, right? We kind of need Trump to go away in order to really see whether or not fixing things, patching things, writing things into the Constitution, it works. Yeah, the jury's out on this one, I think. I think, historically speaking, yes, 100%. I think in the current political moment, because every political moment is a moment worthy of of questioning.
That's like, it was good that the system at least checked the guy, because in my
It is working
world,
as intended, but it is weakened. But that's not an institution being weakened is not in and of itself a justification to step outside of the boundaries of the system to address that
We haven't
problem.
gotten to the justification.
I might have to listen to that back, but it's not necessarily. Let's hear what Destiny.
It sounds like you guys are saying that as long as you're checked eventually, and the check is to tell you to stop doing the bad thing you've had a huge benefit from. Like, for us, it doesn't work that way. If I violate a contract, they don't just say stop violating it. There are real damages, there are liquidated damages, there might be penalty clauses built in. If I break the law...
The point... Oh, this is what I hate. This is... I get it. Does... Okay, so this is the other question. Does Trump need to be the one that's punished in order to revitalize left-wing spiritual sense? I mean, of course, yes, because he represents some sort of right-wing change or manifestation of a different energy on the right. And punishing Donald Trump, sort of the realignment to the idea that left-wing progressive morality is the winning morality, and it has the ability to continue. It can overcome bad actors or have little hiccups. That's the lesson for them, I guess, in this. If they, right, like if Donald Trump is prosecuted and put in jail instead of winning the 2024 election, that's like a firm yes. Progressive liberal values, the progressive morality, the progressive worldview of continuous growth, of continuous moral progression is what they regain, what they themselves on the left gain renewed purpose in.
Let's say that I scammed somebody and I broke the law. Not only are there criminal penalties, I'm going to pay restitution to the victim. I can't keep all the money that I made.
Yes, but you're not a politician. You're just robbing someone.
But
what are you asking us to do? What are you asking us to agree to?
I'm just saying is, like, it seems like the MIDI, I think, made the argument that the Supreme Court did a really good job at eventually shooting down.
So yeah, I guess on the same note, right? Because Hutch and MIDI think that the continuous progressive moral reality is still within effect. They don't think the landscape has changed to the point where what they believe is gone. They just think Trump is a passing actor, a passing phase. But okay, so this is actually where I agree with Destiny now, is that I do think Trump represents a new reality and a changing reality, and if the left fails to adapt to it, but Destiny's adaptation, as we'll see later, is just to admit defeat and say we just need to execute as much power over the system as we possibly can, and that any moral basis for what we believe that doesn't matter because we can't win that way.
On the tariffs, but in my mind, the damage has been done. That's not accountability. That we got screwed there. They won. That was good for them. They won on that. They won.
He's wanting to know if you regard it as a meaningful check, which he and I don't.
Well,
I mean, it is undeniably meaningful.
Yeah.
Like, you could say it's insufficient. You could say that it's insufficient, and that it's leaving space for like personal enrichment, and that a court that would allow and not say things, allow illegal things to operate, would be enabling personal enrichment. I'm totally okay with admitting that. I want more of the liberals on the Supreme Court. I want more people that would stop that. I want more ACBs and I want less Kavanaughs. Like the reason I'm talking about the tariffs the way that they are.
Strange that he says he wants more Amy Coney Barrett's.
Is not to say like that was an ideal response. That was great. That was awesome. Good job, Supreme Court. Like I have a lot of resentment towards a lot of what the Supreme Court does. What I'm trying to say there is that.
Can I ask your question? I just want a quick thing. Okay. Let's say, because this is what it all comes down to for my last question. Let's say that Trump would have known, all the Republicans would have known, that on day one, if they do the tariffs, the Supreme Court would block them eventually in a year and a half. Do you think they still would have gone through with it? Because in my mind, the answer is obviously yes. And that's the problem.
Well, yeah, probably.
Is that the problem, the preeminent issue? Because what does that say? It says the Republicans lack a respect for the rule of law. Right? I mean, yes, Trump clearly lacks a respect for the rule of law. But is that that's the breaking? He does not respect the rule of law. And so in order to combat it, we basically have to say no holds bar contest. Anything and anything to win. Yeah, I don't know. It's a knife fight. Knife fights are dirty. They're bloody. They're vicious. I don't know if that's the direction to take it, because like the movements after Trump are not necessarily knife fighters. There's not too much of a brawling animus. I mean, most of this is done off of the back and the sheer willpower of Trump.
What are
Hold on,
Stephen
hold on,
and
I want. You're going to distract it from that question. I think that question.
Wait,
A
what was the
justification
question?
to further erode the system. To
Can I
be
just-
Oh
authoritarian.
yes. Okay, this question.
What are
This is
Stephen
the
and
base
I-
question.
I want. You're going to
Yes,
distract it from
shut
that
him up.
question. I think that question
Yeah.
does deserve to be answered. I want to give it to Josiah, and then we'll get it to Destiny if he has something to say about that. And then
what
I'll
if Stephen and I proposed that regarding the Supreme Court in this instance that would erode the system?
Well, I don't know about you, but Stephen, proposed. I don't know if he was memeing or not being serious, but he proposed possibly kidnapping Supreme Court justices.
Well,
hold on.
You did insist. You did insist.
What I said, and it's annoying because nobody believes me, but I mean, this is just true. I've bet my whole life on this. Is the president right now has the authority to kidnap Supreme Court justices? So if
Okay,
I thought there was going to
yes.
be a ruling that would come down that he doesn't.
No, this is okay. Okay, I get it. Yeah. I mean, is this like tongue in cheek? It's a little tongue in cheek, but it's like, sure, yeah. I guess if the president really wanted to kidnap a Supreme Court justice, they could.
Like he could do a national security, whatever, send the FBI, kidnap a few Supreme Court justices he thinks is going to rule against him, and then win that case or whatever. Trump has the authority right now to
Well,
do it.
should the Democrats
I'm not saying you should
consider
do it, but
Well, you brought it up in the conversation we had,
This is like in the wake of the immunity clause, I guess.
and then you kind of laughed at me because you were suggesting that I was being naive, and I didn't really understand that actually he does have that power. And so at the time, you did make it seem like this was.
like at the end of the day, letter up. Imagine if she would have said, actually, King Robert's degree here is invalid. I think it was written by an auto pen. That's what this administration is
But
already
the
doing.
executive branch is a gentleman's agreement. That's what a constitutional crisis is.
Ooh,
Is the
this
idea
is
that they're
bad.
just
You
going
can't
to do the
regulate it.
thing.
There has to be.
Well, but then we're just in like a rule by power situation.
Okay.
Like
Okay, here we go. This is the culmination. This is the climax. So all that nonsensical this and that tit-tat debate just to get to what is the basis of political society.
all that it is just like,
Yes.
okay, well, but then at that
That's
point,
why
there's no option.
Ooh, let's hear it.
That's what this administration is
But the
already doing.
executive
Like, that's what's
branch is
happening.
a gentleman's agreement. That's what a constitutional crisis is. Is the
Yes,
idea
but
that they're
that
just
means
going
you
to
can't
do the
regulate
thing.
it. There has to be.
Well, but then we're just in like a rule by power situation. Like all that it is just like,
Yes.
okay, well,
All we are is in a rule by power situation. The answer is yes. This is the admission. This is the admission. I mean, I want to hear it exactly, because to me it sounds like Destiny's basically admitting that if Trump is ruled by power, then we need to be ruled by power. There is no constraints. There is no humility. There is no room for traditional backroom deals or consensus or whatever. Just rule by power, whatever.
Earlier, the Game of
Listen
Thrones
to it
example with
again.
Cersei ripping up the letter. Well, imagine if instead of ripping the letter up, imagine if she would have said, actually, King Robert's degree here is invalid. I think it was written by an auto pen. That's what this administration is
but
already
the
doing. Like, that's
executive
what's
branch
happening.
is a gentleman's agreement. That's what a constitutional crisis is. Is the
Yes,
idea
but
that they're
means
just
you
going
can't
to do the
regulate it.
thing.
There has to be.
Well, but then we're just in like a rule by power situation. Like all that it is just like,
Yes.
okay, well, but then at that
That's
point,
why-
there's no
That's why
option.
both sides of the other side will exercise power against them if they step outside of the gentleman's
Wait,
agreement.
You're on something there. That's kind of the point. It is a gentleman's agreement, which is why the only plausible way to compel good faith from actors who are otherwise inclined to be bad faith is not just reforms. Reforms themselves are insufficient. It's accountability plus reforms.
Oh God, no. It just, Josiah, please. Just say it. Destiny at least said it. It's a use of power a use of power. It means that when you're basically just putting salad dressing on a pile of shit. Context doesn't matter here. It's all ruled by power. All ruled by power. I mean, like, what do you? How do you remove somebody like Trump? So let's say you get Hassan. How do you remove Hassan? How does Hassan go away? I mean, yes, if we theoretically got to the point where everything is so damaged that we basically have to revolt by force in order to remove King Trump. I mean, is this debate on the liberal side basically the opportunist pragmatists versus the idealist, naive idealists? That's just basically what it is. Oh, but yeah, no. The only way to punish somebody is with accountability. Yes, thank you. Thank you. What is the accountability? That's you really need to say what it is. I mean, Destiny basically outright just says it's the use of force. Not explicitly, but sort of implicitly. Persecution, jail, whatever it is, whatever it takes. It's anything that gets your side power in order to crush the other side. I mean, if you view this as an existential game of life and death, then sure, yeah, it becomes that. But the whole point is that there is a debate. You still have to cling and fight and argue for some rule of law, the gentleman's agreement, as they say.
They have to fear retribution or fear accountability. If it,
So, but this is okay. Can I? This is this is what I said in my opening statement. Like we all are saying like yes.
Yes, they have to fear accountability. That's the whole point of rule of law. And I like how he says you have to reform too in the statement when they just spent the last whatever saying that reforms do nothing. Like, oh God. Like this is a really interesting thing because it's like if you're in their position, right? Everything is so horrible to the point where Trump has devolved everything into a power struggle. It is an existential power struggle, nonetheless. Not just a fight, but a battle to the death. What is your way out of it? I mean, are we so far gone that? I mean, most people are still generally like law-abiding citizens. Generally good faith do-gooders. I mean, there's certainly a lot less care. That's mind reading on my part, I guess, but I mean, maybe everybody's a secret sociopath, but I don't know if the psychology holds that up. I don't know. Maybe that's the next thing worth reading for me is the exploration of the rebuilding of society, the retooling of society. That maybe it just needs time to pass. Maybe Trump falling into the winds, just disintegrating into dust, is what rekindles and reunites people. Just because it's sort of like a symbolic end to like this horrid struggle era of mass psychosis.
I want to give it to Hutch, and I have a question for the panel because we keep, I think, dancing around a central issue here is like what to do about it. Like when we talk about if the system isn't sufficiently stopping Trump and his hopping and things like that, and you say, well, they're just getting away with it. How would you stop that in the future? In what way, other than simply just kind of naked partisan?
You do it through impartial law enforcement and institutional reforms. I don't understand this logic that reforms are ineffective against future bad faith actors. I don't understand that logic at all. The system itself was designed not to completely.
This is what I was fucking saying. This is what I was saying.
prevent any possibility of a bad faith actor ascending to power in the United States, but to potentially constrain such actors in the future. And the way that we've dealt with these kinds of things in the past to great effect, to really productive effect, was through reforms. I mean, you can say that, Trump existing and winning re-election in 2024 nullifies everything that we've done in the past that's helped. But I mean, all of these post-Nixon reforms, I have a list here, but there's a lot. It was numerous, and it did help and strengthen the system. That didn't mean that these reforms were a guarantee against bad faith actors. I just don't understand this. When you say that,
right? Like, isn't the point of democracy, constitutionalism, and I mean the American system, set up off the idea that it's meant to adapt and change and be able to adjust appropriately and not just willy-nilly make any kind of changes it wants, but it's sort of meant to have an intensive, purposeful conversation over changes and whether or not that fixes and creates like longevity for the system or adaptability for the system or adjustment, whatever it is, however you want to say it. Isn't that the point? Like, imagine if we just didn't have any amendments. These don't fix the cultural, psychological attitude about the society.
Great
example. When you say, I'll just close out with this. When you say that reforms, you can't expect them to constrain bad faith actors in the future, that kind of reminds me of the argument of like, well, there's no point in passing any laws because criminals break laws. But this is when you talk about deterrence.
Oh, yes, that's such a good way of saying it. Yeah.
If you actually put reforms in place that would add criminal penalties to the things that the Trump administration are currently doing, that would make them future Trumps susceptible to criminal prosecution after they're done, that is a deterrent. And you can't, are you saying that that's not a deterrent?
So it's a much more visceral way of...
No, it can be, but that's the point. That hasn't happened. You cite the Nixon reforms. Trump's violated all the Nixon reforms.
Oh, no, please. You literally just said like 5 minutes ago that you need new reforms. You literally just said in order to create accountability, you need new reforms. What is this? Trump is not doing it. Hutch is already saying that Trump, yes, is violating all this stupid shit, but he's saying that since Nixon, these have largely gone okay-ish. It means that we need now Trump reforms. That's what Hutch is saying. Hutch is saying we need Trump reforms, right? The whole point is that Destiny and you, I don't even know what you're arguing anymore. Destiny is saying that these reforms don't matter because the gains, the political shift, the pulling of the American consciousness into MAGA has been too much to bear. That's the whole point. Just stop. Stop talking, please. Oh, this kills me, listening to this conversation.
Response to gerrymandering. I think it's a great example. A lot of people on the left and the right talk about how gerrymandering it's really illiberal, it's wrong because, it's the politicians choosing the voters rather than...
Track.
Now, we're talking about more examples. Like, can we just move past it?
A more quote-unquote normal track. Would you both agree that this requires the public to have more faith in our structures and our institutions than they do right now?
Yes. Okay. I think in the end, yes, that will be necessary.
I'm curious Destiny's answer to this as well.
I mean, I would say yes, but then my question is...
Yeah, this is a yes question.
Immediately, like, well, what would be things that could restore faith in the government? Well, what if you had a bipartisan president that didn't engage in political prosecutions of his enemy, that allowed his DOJ to act so independently...
There's no such thing as a bipartisan president.
That there were investigations of himself for classified material. We've got the Hur report, allowed endless investigations from Congress of his son, Hunter Biden, and for his DOJ to convict him of crimes. Like, maybe did these restore any faith whatsoever?
Well, I don't know if this is the strongest I don't know if this is the strongest argument to say that someone like Joe Biden, which, for all his strengths as a president, being
the thing about this is that if you want reforms and to restore faith, you can't hearken on the examples at hand because Trump is still president. The reforms and the reconciliation over Trump has to happen post-Trump. If you genuinely want reforms, you're forced to just sit here and take it. You're forced to just cuck yourself to the Republican parties. There is no There is no immediate now. It has to happen post-Trump. But now, I don't think I need to go any further. We hit the point. Right. The big admission. The big point. Everything is now a power game, and because Biden, one of like the worst, most incompetent, mentally incapacitated presidents in US history, did not do what I think was necessary. we must now devolve into a power-based struggle. That's where we're at. That's quite interesting. But it was quite refreshing to actually just hear it be said. Constitutionalism, rule of law, cultural norms, the sacred symbols, everything is just now a power game. Just because the people that I would want to do that aren't doing it, I just get to be mad. And I mean, sure. That's why that's literally why everybody's doing this. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody views the life and death because they view it as you're either winning or losing. Overall, I've really enjoyed watching Hutch. Hutch has become honestly one of the more interesting, more favorite of the random YouTuber / streamers recently. So very interesting conversations, and he puts a lot of effort. Josiah, I don't think I could ever listen to Josiah seriously. Mitty's just some young. So, and Wick is always based. He's very good at these. He's very good at pointing out and keeping people on conversation. In Destiny's Destiny, so go follow those people. Go watch these videos. All really good stuff. If you like mine, like, subscribe. As always, thank you. Let this be a lesson for you, because it was a lesson for me.